richness of the smoke. And also what it does is we don't want to apply a ton of heat to it. It allows the structure, the muscle tissues to really break down, really get nice and soft and tender. So my goal with this guy is once I cook it is to be able to cut it with a fork, a plastic fork. And that's going to be about that thick. I want to be able to just take that plastic fork and just sort of push right through it. So that's our goal on this. And I'll get that about every time. We're going to cook it low and slow. We're going to put it onto our smoker. In the States, from the Midwest, we have a lot of fruit wood, but we also have what we call a lot of hedgerow trees. And we have what we call wild cherry, blackjack cherry. And what it is, it's a part of the cherry family, but it doesn't have fruit on it, and it grows huge. So that's what I primarily use to smoke with. It's a nice light wood, gives it a great fruity flavor. If I want to enhance it a little bit, I'll throw a little pecan on there. So again, pecans, as many know, are part of the hickory family, so it just gives you a little bit more of that smoky richness to it. So that's what smoking-wise. When we're talking about cooking on this, we're going to cook this guy to about 135 degrees, dead center cut. That's going to give you your nice medium rare. That's the real trueness to this steak, is cooking it to a medium rare. True FDA wants us cooking to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. That's basically what I consider well done, and I don't think that gives you the true richness of the steak that you're trying to get here. Okay? So what we're going to do on this guy, we're going to start to break him down. I'm going to flip him over. And what you're going to see here is this is what we call the skirt muscle. And you can see a lot of the silver skin will be able to be peeled off by hand. And you can see how you can just reach in with your hands and pull it off. So what I want you to notice right through here, you can see how I'm using my fingers to push down through this muscle. This muscle is what we call the side skirt muscle. I want to go ahead and remove this off. A lot of times what you'll do, this is the muscle that if you go and buy stroganoff, this is the muscle that they'll use to get that stroganoff with. So again, you can pull most of this. You can sort of see how I'm separating this out. You can start to see where that Scotch fillet's pulling right in through here. Okay? So I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to follow my muscle seams. Very simple to do in this guy. So here's the cut that we're going to bring off. This is going to be the side skirt that I'm pulling off. Guys, what I do to this is I usually put it over into my pans. And what I do to that is I will save that. I will grind it in my grinder to make hamburger out of. Makes great hamburger. I mean, it's just unbelievable when you're talking about this cut of meat and making hamburger out of it. So what you can do now is you can sort of see that I'm starting to break this muscle out. Hope you can see right here. I know the lighting's not all that great. It's 10 o'clock at night here. And but you can see that we also have on this muscle, we have what we call a silver skin. So this silver skin is going to be a tight, sinewy type bite. We need to peel this off, but we have to be really careful when we peel this because we don't want to take too much of the muscle with it. So what I do is I'll take my knife. I'm going to use a boning knife, and I'm going to actually push it right up under that silver skin and lift that silver skin up. So what I do then is I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to rise it up towards the silver skin, and I'm going to cut right along that. Now, the one thing you got to be careful of on this is you do not want to pull this like this. If you pull, you're going to tear the muscle. It's going to pull it deeper into the muscle. You want to bring your knife and you want to push that knife up to the top and just gently drag it like that. So here's a piece of silver skin that we pulled off. So you can see how tough this is. There's no way I could ever break this in half. So what I'll do now is I'll just take it, I'll clean the rest of that silver skin off. And I'm going to peel what I can peel. You're going to have some nodule fat on here. I'm going to take that off too. Again, I want this nice and lean. So you can actually see on the backside of a tenderloin where it actually fits into the vertebrae of the cow. So it fits up into the cow just like this. And that's the vertebrae that holds it on like this. So you can see the vertebrae pieces that they've actually trimmed out. And I will knock those down if they've got too much of a fat nodule on them, like that one did. So let's go back to the front side. I still have some silver skin over here. I still have to remove a piece of the head piece. So I'm going to take my knife all the way up under that silver skin. I'm just going to gently pull it off like that. I have one more piece on this back side. Clean it up. As you can see, I'm just removing little pieces at a time now. This is more what I call the detailing. Okay. So one more little piece here. So now what I want to do is I have another muscle on here. Remember I said there's 3 muscles. This is basically another muscle. It's called the head muscle. It sits on the very top end of the fillet. This piece again, I'm going to bring it off. I'm going to follow the seam. Very simple to do. Put a little pressure on it, and it's going to pull right along the seams. So if you've ever gone in and had a beef tenderloin where they wrap it in bacon, this is usually the piece that they'll use. It's not going to be quite as tender as a true center cut. But what they'll do is they'll cut these pieces and trim them down, cut them up, and wrap them with bacon. And that's part of that tenderloin you'll get out of that. Now, it's a great tenderloin bite, but it's still not going to give you that true center cut filet mignon type bite. So let me trim this down a little bit. I'm going to clean this up. I'm actually going to take the back end tail. Now, what a lot of people will do on this tail is they'll take it and wrap it. I don't like to do that. I like to tighten that back end up. Cut that off. Start to see I'm getting that fillet look. I'm going to have some leftover. I'm just going to sort of work the knife down. You'll feel it. So what I do next is I'll take my hands and I just sort of feel down the tenderloin to see if I can feel anything that's hard. And if I feel something hard, I know that's going to be that harder nodule fat. I'm going to go ahead and knock that off. This one feels pretty good. Okay. Got one little piece there. Okay. So now you can see how we've trimmed it down. This is what they call a peeled fillet, or what they'd call a peeled Scotch fillet over there, okay? So that's what you're going to get when you trim them out. So what you're going to notice is, yeah, did I trim quite a bit off? Yes. What I did is I trimmed for quality. I got down to the quality piece that we're really looking for. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and prep it up. We're going to prep this one up for reverse sear. I'm going to actually come with my coating base. I'm going to use grapeseed oil. I'm going to give it a nice coat of grapeseed oil. What it's going to do, it's going to allow my rub to basically stick a little bit better. It's going to give my rub a little more time to really build, because again, I'm building a nice crust across this because we're going to do a reverse sear on it. Okay? So the first thing I come back down with is I come down with the Texas beef. And what I'll do is, you'll notice when I do this, I actually put on my cutting boards, I'll put the rub down on the cutting board. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fillet and I'm going to roll it into the rub until I get the consistency that I want. Also, at the same time, it gives me the ability to really start to form the filet to make it look nice. This is the Texas beef that I start with. And like Paul says, the more you put on, the more pepper you pick up. So I only do it twice. I don't want a heavy, heavy pepper. And then I come back with a light coat of Memphis down. Memphis is going to give me a little bit more of a Worcestershire bite. So again, it gives it a little more of a uniqueness, sort of takes another level of flavor. So it gives me more of a Worcestershire. It's got a little bit of a powdered vinegar to it. So now this is going to be ready to go. So what I do on this, I'll take foil or I'll take cellophane. I will wrap this in cellophane. I'll prep it the night before. I wrap this in cellophane, nice and tight. I put it into my refrigerator as cold as possible, not frozen, as cold as possible. Then what I'll do is I'll take it. I'll have my smoker up and running. I have my smoker primarily between 225, 275. Optimal usually ends up 250. So I'm always cooking between those two ranges, okay? So what it is this guy's going to go onto the smoker as cold as possible. Why do I want that? Is here's the science behind why I want to do that, okay? Meat only absorbs smoke for the first 2 hours or to 140 degrees internal into the meat. So if I let this meat set out there and rest, come up to temp, say regular temperature of 72 to 75 degrees. Oh, nice friend. It basically comes up to temp like that. I'm not going to get the smoke penetration and smoke flavor that I'm looking to get. So the colder I put that meat on, the better flavor I will get with it. That's the science that supports this, okay? So I'll keep it wrapped in that cellophane. As soon as my smoker's up and running, this is going to go on that smoker. As soon as this goes on the smoker, the wood goes in because that first couple hours is critical to getting my smoke flavor into it, okay? So once this guy reaches internal of about 135 degrees, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to take it back to the grill side of the Marshall, and I'm going to reverse sear it. I reverse sear it for 2 or 3 minutes, basically putting it on the hot coals and basically rolling it just like that every 35 to 40 seconds. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the smoke flavor, I'm taking that penetration that we've got, then all I'm doing now is I'm taking the rubs and I'm basically crisping the outside of them. So what you're going to get when you bite into a steak like this, you're going to get a nice crispy bite. You're going to have that char, that steaky flavor. Same time, you're going to have a smoke penetration because you'll see a beautiful smoke ring in this. But more importantly, you're going to have a beautiful, delicate bite because of the way the smoker works and the way the meat reacts with the light smoke and how all this puts together, okay? So very, very simple to do. And it's just, again, taking your time, trimming it down, getting it to the smoker, and sort of understanding some of the science behind it, okay? So, Paul, do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Wave your hands.
How do I do this?
Oh. You got a light on your face. Go ahead.
So when you say you cut off all those, all the nodules of fat, is that only because they're not going to render down in that piece of meat?
Right, and they're not going to render at this because, again, we're not doing that long sustained cook. And it's like what you'll do is, and you'll pick up most of those. Remember I showed you that back side where it goes up against the vertebrae? That's where you'll pick up most of that hardness up against that. So you'll see 3 or 4 usually running down along that. On the front side, you're not going to see hardly any, but it's important to get that silver skin off.
Yeah.
And again, just don't pull on it, because once you pull on it, you just start to rip the muscle to shreds. And and once you do this and feel it, you got it, because you're going to be able to feel them. And it feels a lot different than the regular structure of the meat.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Sort of work down just like this, and you'll just feel them. Okay? So what you want is, you want a consistency in the whole piece all the way across.
Yeah, then it'll cook better as well when you put it in there as well, yeah? So
Absolutely. And then when you go to cut it, you're not going to have the inconsistency of that nodule on that back side.
Yeah.
Because I'll usually cut them. What we'll have to do at my house is we'll do this for Christmas and Thanksgiving. My kids don't want turkey, they want filet. And what we'll do is we'll cook 3 of these. And as I cook them, as I walk them into my basement kitchen, the kids are waiting to eat them. They're like hors d'oeuvres. We will eat a whole tenderloin as an hors d'oeuvre because it's so good.
Yeah.
And it just works so well with this kind of method. It's basically a reverse sear method.
Yeah. So once you reverse sear it and you get it out, do you sauce it at all, or you just leave it as you reverse sear and then grill it up?
Well, again, once it's done and cut, it's what you want to do to it. When it comes to a true steak, a filet mignon, you usually don't want to use a sauce to it. The meat should speak for itself. The other thing I will do with this, and this is if we have a couple of them, 3 or 4 of them around, what I'll do to them is I'll let them cool down in the refrigerator. Then I hit them with my slicer real thin, and we make like French dip and put them on hoagies, with onions and pepper, and they are unbelievable.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool
that would
things.
Be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, just got to watch your cholesterol levels for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's it. Make sure you exercise beforehand before you get into it, yeah?
Absolutely. So where are you from? Oh, I lost you. Oh. Question?
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, how you going?
Hey, fine. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Cold.
Cold?
Oh, it's freezing here, mate. Where's shocking? Bloody Melbourne. You said about wrapping it in cellophane in the refrigerator.
I actually wrap it in cellophane. So after I'm done prepping like this, I'll basically I've got the big 18-inch cellophane pieces, and I'll just wrap it in that cellophane, keep it nice and tight. So what it is you can see we built a rub coat on this outside, and it's going to start to weep. So what it does is the salts in the rubs, they start to what we call draw the moisture up to the top, or starts to weep. And what we want to do is we want to keep that tight. That's why I put that foil in there. I keep it nice and tight. Or not foil, the cellophane. And that cellophane.
That's the first I've ever heard about wrapping anything in, or keeping it refrigerated, whatever it may be, but with cellophane. Yeah, it's a first. I've never heard of it.
Yes. So he's talking about Glad Wrap, James. So Glad Wrap. So wrapping it in Glad Wrap.
Oh, I thought he was talking of some other actual.
That's what the Americans call it, is cellophane, but he's talking about Glad Wrap. What we call Glad Wrap.
What did you think? What was it?
I don't know. I think like the plastic wrapper on a gift or something. But yeah,
It's like cellophane.
Yeah, so cellophane is what we call Glad Wrap.
Plastic wrap.
Cling wrap, mate.
Cling wrap, yeah, cling wrap, Glad Wrap, same different, depending on the brand. Any other questions, James?
Am I the idiot? Or...
No, that's all right. Lost in translation, mate.
No, yeah, like I said.
Lost in translation.
Cellophane, I was just a bit... There you go. All right,
good, man.
I'm good.
No, any other questions? All good?
All good, mate.
Anyone else got any questions? Andrew, I can see you begging. Andrew, I know you've...
I'm right there, Paul. I'm good.
You're good? All right.
Yeah, no,
Simon, any questions? No?
Definitely want to try to do that backstrap though.
Yeah, we're going to give it a crack.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get us the cut of meat.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, here's something else you brought up about backstrap. I do a lot of elk. I do a lot of deer, antelope. I do all kinds of different backstrap, and I do it the same method here, and it works great. Anything that really ties into like a deer, elk, antelope. Even when I was over there in Australia, we did a kangaroo backstrap, and I tell you what, it wasn't bad. So again, anything backstrap wise, you're going to treat it the same way. It's the same cut, same coming off a mammal. It's going to have that same delicate to it. It's just that white meat used to hold bone together. We just got to treat it a little bit different.
Hey, very tender, very lovely meat, isn't it?
Oh man, it melts in your mouth. My dad's an old German, and what they do, him and my uncle, will get together, and they'll take a whole back strap and they'll cut it in half. They'll peel it with a knife. They'll scrape it with German mustard and crackers. They will eat raw a whole tenderloin.
Oh, wow.
Well, they put out with gluten, so I don't know about raw.
But again, it's what they did. They did in the old country, I guess. But I've never done it. So,
Bit of steak tartare, Chris.
steak tartare, yeah, exactly.
Any other questions, Andrew?
I'm good, thanks, mate.
Oh, good. Righto. So, Chris, did you have anything else to do with that? Did you want to? Anything else you need to do with that, my mate?
No, actually, I'm going to go wrap it in some cellophane.
Sorry, James.
And then I'm going to cook it tomorrow. So
Yeah, no, that's fine, mate. I might let you go if you want to go, mate. I know it's very late. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I'm going to keep going. I've still got 2 more cuts of meat, and we've already been going nearly an hour. So I'm going to smash through these others. I'm going to show everybody what I've done with this smoker as well. So I've now set up the Grillgrates, put extra charcoal on there. So it's ready to start searing off as well. So I'll do that now. But I'll let you go, Chris. Thank you very much for your time.
And tell everybody thank you and appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you again.
No dramas, mate. We'll do another one shortly, mate. And thanks again, buddy. And I'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Bye-bye, Paul.
Oh, by the way, Chris, everybody, it's Chris's wedding anniversary today. Congratulations, Chris. And you wouldn't be doing what you're doing without such a wonderful wife in Tammy. So
well, I
congratulations
agree.
again to both.
Usually today we're up in Ohio doing a barbecue class. So for the last, I think, 9 years, we've been up in Cleveland, Ohio, doing barbecue classes on our wedding anniversary. But this year we're not doing it. So again, thanks so much, everybody. I do have a lot of information on the Three Little Pig blog site. This whole presentation we did here, it's called the Tenderloin. I have it on a whole blog if you want to see it again. So thanks so much, and appreciate everybody. See you, Paul.
No dramas. See you, buddy. Have a great day. Or great
You
night.
too.
See you, mate. Righto, guys. We'll go back to me and what I'm doing here. Chris is such an awesome guy. A lot of you guys may not have actually had the opportunity to talk to him before. He's such a wealth of knowledge, and I wouldn't be where I am now without his help in the business. So we're going to go on to the next cut. This meat is smelling absolutely beautiful. So if I get a little bit distracted at times, it'll be that I'm just catching a whiff of this meat that I'm smelling. Andrew, I'm sure you can smell it from your place, mate. It's that wind's going directly to your place, mate. So just step outside and you'll be able to smell it as well. Righto, guys. So this here is called the rump cap. In Brazilian barbecue or Argentinian barbecue, they call it picana. Now, it is a beautiful cut of meat at the best of times. I'm going to do one straight on to the rotisserie, and I'll show you how to feed it onto the rotisserie, and then the rest of it I'm going to cut it into steaks and I'm going to grill it off as steaks. This one here, I'm going to cut it quite thick. I'm anticipating that I'm going to get 4, maybe 5 steaks out of this piece. So without further ado, I'm going to bring out my friendly big knife and try not to chop my fingers off. So it doesn't really matter which way you cut it, but I'm going to cut it against the grain. So the same as when you cut anything, because it's raw, it doesn't really matter which way you cut it. What we might do is we might do a bit of trim on it first. On the back side, you can see the silver skin on there. I'm going to remove that silver skin, which is something I try to do with rump cap. I also do the same with beef ribs as well. I try to get rid of that. Like the rest of the rump, there are multiple sections of the rump cap as well. So you will find that if you look at this piece here, still looks like there's a piece of, but that actually stops and goes into the meat. So there's actually a layer of fat that runs on an angle through there. And all I'm going to do is from where that's separated, I'm going to cut that through there to get rid of that part. Not quite a salt bay, but it does the same sort of job. Now, I've got rid of all of that fat off the back there. So that's left that with just straight meat. I keep looking over to the side because I've got my computer screen and I can see it a bit better. I can see the full picture. I can see exactly what you guys are looking at. So I've got my dirty big knife here. And what I'm going to do, well, it's not actually dirty, it's clean. But my big knife here, and I'm going to cut this into steaks. So for the first one that's going to go onto the rotisserie is going to be quite thick. So this is the first one that I'm going to grill. I'm going to do one more to grill, and then I'm going to do a big one that I'm going to go onto the rotisserie. So I'm going to go sort of about a 200, 225 gram steak. Now this is the big one that's going to go onto the rotisserie. Now this knife I'm using is called the scimitar steak knife. Is the official name of it. When it came into Australia, Victorinox Australia decided they were going to call it a brisket knife because I actually had a part in bringing it into Australia, and they said, "Oh, what do you use that knife for?" And I said, "For cutting brisket because it's got the air pockets on the side of it, which actually when you're cutting a brisket, it stops the brisket from tearing. So when you see it called a brisket knife, the reason it's called a brisket knife is because when I asked Victorinox Australia to bring it into Australia, they said, what's it used for? And that's the story behind it. So we're going to go, if I hold this steak like this, which is the way it's going to sit onto the rotisserie, which I'll do in a second, does that start to look familiar? Does that start to look like the picanha that you see all over Facebook and Instagram? That there we're going to prep a little bit differently. This side here, I'm going to sear off a couple of these smaller steaks because I'm going to eat them for lunch. The other ones I'm going to put away and I'll eat them at a later time. I'll eat those later in the week. Now, these ones here, now, like Chris said before about the fat on that other one and it not rendering down, this fat here won't render down either. So on a fat, and you know how when you get a porterhouse and the porterhouse doesn't necessarily, the fat doesn't render down and you get that yuck, that pretty disgusting fat. That's the reason I don't eat porterhouse and I eat the Scotch fillet like Chris just prepared. I prefer that and have fat that actually renders down and you can actually enjoy the steak. It actually produces a bit of flavour. I'm actually going to remove that fat cap here before I cook it. Now, this is my personal preference. You don't have to do it. It will instill a little bit of flavour into it, but I'm not really worried about that flavour because I've actually got some wood on top of the grill as well, so it's going to have a nice smoky flavour as well as a nice flavour from the rubs. And there's also a silver skin underneath that as well. So this is probably a little bit different to what you would normally get. Like if you go to a restaurant or something, you're going to get a steak, a rump steak that looks a bit like that. You're not going to get a rump steak that's cut in portions like that. So that there. So for this to go onto the skewer, all I'm going to do is I'm going to do this the Argentinian way, and that is literally a bit of olive oil on both sides and coarse ground salt. On both sides. And then, so what I'm going to do next is when I get the rotisserie, I'll put that through, but I'll have my I can't think of what they're called. I've got a mental blank. These stoppers on here to hold it into place. So I'll go the other one off. So that's rump cap. That's how easy it is to do rump cap. With these, I probably wouldn't even go as far as putting olive oil on them. I'd literally just put them straight on, and then just put a bit of seasoning on there, and then they'll go straight onto the barbecue. So that's that done. So that's how to break down a rump cap. The final part of the rump that I want to show you today. Has anybody got any questions on that? No? It's pretty simple. The last part is tri-tip. Has anyone ever cooked tri-tip before? No? So tri-tip is normally done, well, in America, they normally reverse sear it. So today, unfortunately, I don't have one that I prepared earlier, but I will explain the method to you, and I will explain reverse searing to you so you can do it. So tri-tip is a funny shape. It's kind of like a really pointy triangle. Now this again is a really nice cut of steak. It's absolutely beautiful when it's cooked properly. So all you do is you remove these hard nodules of fat like Chris did on the other one. We can go Cellophane again. Primarily because this knife is a lot sharper than the other one. This here is a Wagyu cross as well. It's a marble score 5 to 6, and is absolutely beautiful piece of meat. So trim that fat off. Like I said, this knife is major overkill for this piece of meat. My other knife has gone a little bit dull, so I'm just winging it. So I've taken pretty much the majority of that fat off and the silver skin off the top. Now, if you were to reverse sear this, reverse searing, Chris spoke about reverse searing. I was kind of a little bit busy in the background. I didn't hear whether he actually explained the process at all. Did he explain the process enough for you to understand? Yes, just nod your head if he did, or shake your head if he didn't. Yes? Yes? I'm getting a few head nods there. So the idea of reverse searing is you smoke it and then you sear it off. So you smoke it to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and then to get a perfect sear on it, you get that to 135, and then you let it rest. Well, you don't need to let it rest because it's already rested between the searing, between the smoking and the searing. So that there is our tri-tip. I'm pretty happy with that now, that I've managed to get most of the fat and stuff off it. Because if I go too much more, I'm just going to destroy the piece of meat. So, like I said, it ends up in kind of like a triangle shape. Now, we have our oil, because we're going to direct sear this. And I'm going to do it relatively quickly because the grill grates are quite hot. So I'm going to use the Three Little Pigs Championship and then the Memphis. So for me, the Three Little Pigs Championship and the Memphis are quite similar, but the Championship doesn't have as much coarse pepper in it. So if you don't like a strong pepper, the Championship is a better option, and it's not as spicy either. I find the Texas beef a little bit spicy. So if you're feeding kids or somebody that has a sensitive palate, you will find that the Championship will be more better suited to them. So on all the edges, all the way around. Now and then you just, before you flip it over, you just pat it down. Pretty simple method. And then Memphis is a really nice finisher on beef. And if you've eaten my brisket or my beef ribs, the thing that makes it so good for me is the Memphis. The Memphis ends up giving a really nice finished flavour. So what I'll do now is I'm going to chuck some gloves on, and I'm going to bring the rotisserie over, and we're going to put the rump cap onto the skewer, and then we'll put this and the other steaks onto the grill, and I'll have a chat to you about that. Just bear with me a second, guys. So as you can see, that's getting a nice bit of colour into it now. So what I want to do is without cross-contaminating. I'm going to feed the picana onto, or the rump cap onto the rotisserie. I can see Max in the background, Andrew, sharpening his knife. Looks like he's going to come over the top and murder you. So, oh, taxi. Need another set of hands. So with this, all we're going to do is we're going to feed this through. Now that wouldn't go through easy enough, so all I've done is I've just put a hole in the actual, through the silver skin and through the fat layer. Hopefully I can do this without stabbing my hand. There we go. And then on this one, I'm going to put this on. Like I thought before, I lost a bit of the salt on there when I touched my hands. Can everybody still hear me all right, or did everybody, I lose everyone? Yep, all right. When I nearly lost my tray of meat, I knocked my laptop and yeah, didn't go to plan. So that's the way the rump cap sits on there. It's meant to be like a half circle on there. And normally what you would do is you would do 2 to 3 pieces on there. And then as it cooks and gets to the right temperature, you take away the spikes that go into it to hold it in place, and you literally just carve it. So I'm going to put this on. How's that looking? Am I making you all hungry now? Got a bit of a light shadow happening on it. So, sorry, excuse me. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, so we've got our grill grates ready to go on this side. So our tri-tip's going to take the longest. I'm going to put that on there, and all I'm going to do now is I'm going to monitor that over the next 4 or 5 minutes. Has anybody got any questions in the meantime? No? 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 So, you can see this is coming along nicely. I've got the rope on this side, I've got charcoal as well. So, for those of you who haven't seen my new smoker, this is the rotisserie that I built for it. And then I've got On top of it is the normal grill that it was, but on top of that is I've got grill grates. Now, anybody who knows me knows how much I love grill grates and how good they actually are. So these ones fit perfectly. So I've got the tri-tip on here, the rum cap, and I've got the roast beef there. So it's going to take probably at least 4 or 5 minutes before I turn that over, because it's going to be a it's quite a thick cut. These grill grates work absolutely amazing. So basically what happens is the heat radiates up into them, and then underneath them you end up with the juices dripping down into there, and then it steams back into the meat, which creates a tender, juicier. You can actually see the juices on that meat there starting to sort of come to the surface to create that bark on the outside. Same as on this, you can see the juices starting to create a bark on the outside, which is exactly what I want. That rum cap's gonna be a little while yet. I wanted to get Chris started before it got too late over there. It was like he said, it was 11 o'clock. Well, it was 10 o'clock when we started and 11 o'clock when we finished. I didn't want to keep him too long. So this tri-tip now has been on for a couple of minutes. So I'm hoping that the rum cap is going to take probably 6 to 7 minutes. And then from that, once that's done, we'll slice that up, and then I'll let you guys get going. In the meantime, I'll leave you looking at the rotisserie. Has anybody got any questions before I go and clean up? No? Hang on a sec. Yeah, go for it, bud.
Yeah, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, man.
Just a quick question. What are you looking for? Like, I know sort of they say that a lot of things are visual, not so much just a temperature. What are you looking for in these meats when you're cooking them as a trigger to when to turn them or when they're ready?
So the one that I've got on the grill grates, the tri-tip at the bottom, I looked underneath it and the lines are starting to form, and that side of the meat is starting to seal. So that's probably only got another 2 or 3 minutes before I want to rotate it. So to get the crisscross pattern, you need to 90-degree turn. That will then allow it to spread across as well, and it'll allow it to cook a bit more evenly. The internal temperature on that at the moment is still really low. It's still 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's still got a fair bit to go as far as cooking wise goes. The big roast beef, I'm probably gonna start carving that at about 140 to 145 degrees. The little piece of picana here that you can see my finger above for the rump cap, I'd go that to 135. But the colour, you can already see that the colour changed 3 of those. So you can see that the roast beef on the side has gone from that orange to it's starting to go. Camera for some reason. Trying to not get it too close to the fire because it's quite hot. Can you see the colour in that a bit more now?
Yeah, you can.
Not really.
Yeah, you can see it.
Seems like there's a bit of a shadow on there or something. That's even worse. Sorry, just trying to get it right so you guys you can see the coloration. So see, it started at this orangey colour here, but now it's gone over to like a darker almost a brownie colour. So that the rubs on the outside are starting to season. I'm going to chuck these couple of little bits of rum cap on there as well. I'm going to have so much steak to eat tonight, it's not funny. I said to my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law, because my wife's over, my mother-in-law's been quite sick at the moment, but she's, they're struggling a bit with him, my wife's mum being so sick. But I said, oh, do you want me to bring some over? I said, oh, yeah, just a little bit. Last time I'd done a leg of lamb on the rotisserie, I took so much over there. I thought it was only half a dozen slices. I go, oh, that's way too much. So I end up with so much left over. But to answer your question, the coloration, it starts to get darker, those rubs. So someone said to me the other day about it being burnt. It's not actually burnt. What it is, it's the caramelization in the sugar in the rubs, which actually makes it to go that darker color. So when you look at any sort of barbecue that I cook, it'll be pretty dark. So it's pretty it is the sugar in the, like I say, it's the sugar in there that is making it go that different colour. See the underside colour of that? So you've got the sear lines. You'll see it when I do the actual flip on it. But yeah, does that answer your questions, Bud?
Yeah, it does. Yep. Yeah, thanks for that.
All good, mate.
Thanks for giving
Max, have you got any questions? Hang on a sec, I'll unmute you, mate.
Oh, no, I've got nothing at the moment, no.
All good, all good. You're just drooling over my food?
Yeah. When you come over?
I'll send you down a message, mate.
Yeah, good.
I might need some help. I might need some help eating it.
Yeah, we got a Euros going at the moment.
Oh, you got it going, did you?
Yeah.
All right, mate. No dramas. I'll leave you guys to watch this for a couple of minutes. I'm just going to clean this chopper board and these knives.
Right, yeah.
And then I'll be back in a second. I'm pretty sure I forgot to mute myself as well, so you guys would be hearing what I'm saying. What I did want to talk to you guys about as well, although you can't see me, I am just in the next room. I've got some more classes which we're going to be doing with Chris. So we're going to do a 4-meat class, which we'll have tickets available on my website shortly. And you can pre-purchase them at the moment, but the class will be brisket and butt, but there'll also be chicken and lamb as well. So it's going to be a 4-meat class. So Chris is going to do the brisket and the butt. So for those guys that have done, or those people that have done my brisket and butt class, and you want to see how somebody else does it, and you can compare the two, that class with Chris will be, we're talking probably the next 3 weeks. So that's that'll come around pretty quick. You know, those little medallions at the back, which are the other part of the rump cap, those smaller pieces that I said that I was going to cook. You know, that there. No, can you see the? So that's the tri-tip there that I've prepared and cooked. The Carno, and then still hard to see with the glare on it, but yeah, so that's coming up really good. The Grillgrates work amazingly good. I'm really amazed at how well they work. it's not just another product I sell. It's actually a product that I believe in and I use all the time. So so with all of these, I'm going to go for an internal temperature, like I said before. These little ones, so that's at 93. $106. So that's still at sort of 70. So there's still a fair bit to go in that tri-tick. And that's why you reverse sear it, or else you'd get quite a dark coloration on the outside. You can see how if you guys can see it on here, you can see where I've just probed it. You can see where the juices have come out of it. The sugars create like a seal, and the oil creates like a seal on the outside, which helps retain that moisture in. So with the grill grates and the way the grill grates work is you find that the heat that comes up is hotter than a normal grill surface, and they will work in a way that they seal the meat a lot quicker, which helps retain moisture. So by using the grill grates, that's how they get, one of the ways they get like a more juicier, tender finish in it. So that's about 100, 112. That other little one, it's at 116, 117. I'll push those ones to 135 and they'll be perfectly medium rare. So as far as meat goes, as far as steak goes, medium rare is 130 to 135. Medium is 140. Medium well is 145. And well is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And a lot of people are sort of realising the difference between eating a steak. Friends of mine who I've cooked for multiple times before, they never used to eat their steak. They always wanted it done really well. So they were asking for that to be done, like it well done, and I'd give it to them sort of medium well at sort of 140, 145. My mother-in-law was the same, and now they won't eat it any other way, and they end up building it down because they can taste the difference in the tenderness in the meat at that lower temperature. It seems to be a lot more tender and a lot more palatable when you've got it at that. So does anybody have any other questions, or rather than me just babbling on about useless facts, has anybody got any questions about anything to do with barbecue? Alec, hang on a sec, I'll unmute you, mate. Hey, bud. There we are, I got you now.
Andrew, he said he's got a gyros on the go at the moment. What cut of meat did you use for the gyros?
I'll unmute Andrew as well. Go for it, Andrew.
Yeah, what's up?
What did you use for the gyros? What
Oh,
cut of meat?
I just went to the butcher shop and got them to just use what they done. But I think it's lamb shoulder and chicken thighs. Alternators I've gone along using about 4.
Oh, so you've done the alternate one you told?
Yeah.
Cool. So those little bits of steak are now done. I'm just going to take it away from here for a second. Hopefully I can reset it up so you can see it. I don't know what's going on with this camera. This camera is that a bit better? No, still seems a bit fuzzy. So that temperature now is at 129, 136 in that bigger one, and that one there. So that comes up really quick. That's at 138, and the longer I leave it there, is how it's going to
That'll let him eat.
Sorry, just gonna. So these here, to give you a bit of an idea on how tender and flavoursome they actually are. Have a look at that. You could literally cut that with a spoon. That is just, that's that rump cap, and it's just so delicate. Cooked to absolute perfection. I won't be so mean as to actually eat that in front of you. I'll save that. So we'll go back to our rotisserie. We'll have a look at our tri-tip again. It should be just about ready to rotate. It's at 97. Going to rotate that 90 degrees again. And that'll give us our, and you can see how tender that is by how springy it is when you push down on it, and then how it springs back up. That is that shows you. So if you ever talk to an old chef, the way they used to tell rare, medium well. So if you put your thumb with your index finger, and you can see how soft it is, that's medium rare. That's medium well, and then well. And you can see the flex in it. Yeah. I don't know how many people are trying it. No, but I don't know if you guys knew that before. But that was one of the things that I learned to be able to cook by feel as well, which I found was really good. All that salt that I had on that rump cap, a lot of that has almost gone. It's starting to create a layer on the outside of that meat now. That fat is rendering down a bit, but you can see the difference, and sometimes it's just a matter of minutes in the way that this goes, is that how quickly it changes in just the texture of the fat on the outside, starting to get colorization, and in all three different cuts of meat. This tri-tip's not far off it. I've actually put a so that's at 120, so that's not long off at all. I don't know if you can see over here, but underneath the on this side, I've actually got a bit of wood there, which is smouldering as well, which is putting a little bit of smoke flavour into the rotisserie, which is something different. I don't know if you guys have got rotisseries and you add fruit wood to it, whether you've tried that or not. But this is just all I wanted to show you guys today was the different ways that you can utilise your barbecue. So you can, if you get sick of smoking, you can always use build yourself something like this. I think it ended up costing me about $100 for this. And I can use it as a grill. Obviously, I can use it as a smoker as well. But if you've got an offset, you could do this quite easy, exactly the same thing quite easily. You could build a rotisserie for it. There are rotisseries available for some of the charcoal smokers. I know the Hark Chubby and the Hark Texas Pro. You can get a rotisserie option for those. It does mean that you use the cook chamber though, rather than the firebox. So you set your charcoal up in the cook chamber underneath the grill, and it is a little bit of stuffing around, but you can do it. And all you do is you cook with the doors open, and add the rotisserie, but you can also use those grill plates as a grill as well. Anyone got any questions? No? No? So, yeah, we've got, like I said to you, in the next couple of weeks, we've got this class with Chris coming up. There's going to be hopefully a good number of people join us for that. Chris is going to sell tickets to the guys in the States as well. And we're going to run it at the normal time that I would run a normal class at sort of 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning instead of the 1 o'clock like today. So, guys, I think I'm pretty close to letting you go. Once we get this tri-tip off and we slice it up, I'm going to let you guys go because I'm sure I'm boring the heck out of you. So that's at 1:20, 22. Gee, it's getting real close now. With this one, I will rest it. I'll rest it because it'll only rest it for probably a minute or two while I let you admire it. But with this, you would slice it and you'd put it into like burgers or into like a fajita or something like that, like with a wrap. That'd work really well. I think the problem with me doing this is you guys are going to get really hungry. Hopefully I inspire you to do some cooking and to be able to to get a decent amount of some cooking in now. Have you all learnt? You all learned something from today? Yeah, that's a good thing. I had to go wipe my chopping board again and my knife. Yeah. So I just wanted to leave that to rest for a minute or so before I sliced it off. Now, obviously with the different ends, it's going to be, one end's going to be probably a medium, or probably a rare, it's a medium rare. This end will be a, yeah, that's pretty much a medium in here. So that's almost a medium rare. So that, I'm pretty happy with that. That's a pretty good outcome for me. That other end's probably still a little bit too rare and probably needs to go back on, but this end up here is fine to eat. That's the difference with reverse searing. With reverse searing, you'd have a more consistent heat all the way through it, and you'd be able to get a better end result if you reverse seared it. But like I said before, unfortunately, there wasn't one that I could prepare earlier. Righto, guys, thank you so much. Hang on, we've got a chat here. Someone's. All right. I think that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have any questions, by all means, jump on my Facebook page, and also, or you can send me a message. Most you know who I am. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a great day. Yeah, any questions? Those tickets are for sale on my website, thebarbecueguy.com.au. If you want any more information about the class today or anything, by all means, just drop a line. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great day.